Hey there, Norman here from WoCode, and in our last video, we went over the Content tab in the Business Directory widget, as well as how to access and make a copy of the Airtable content template. Now, with the Airtable populated with content, let's get started with creating the collection that will power the Business Directory widget. Let's jump into the builder. Let's click the Content tab, click Collections. Next, click New Collection and select Airtable. Hey there, Norman here, jumping in real quick with a small update to this portion of the video. Airtable has changed its authentication methods for adding security since this video was originally filmed, and they now use personal tokens instead of API keys. To create an Airtable collection using a personal token, first we'll select Airtable as usual, and then we'll be taken to this Connect with Airtable screen. From here, we can simply click this Airtable account page button, and this will take us to this screen right here, which, as you can see, it is mentioning that the API keys will be deprecated by the end of January 2024. We can simply click Go to Developer Hub, and then from this screen, we can simply click Create Token, and from here, we can proceed to create our token. Now, in the future, if you need to access this and that button is not available, alternatively, you can access and create tokens by making sure you're logged into Airtable and going directly to airtable.com/create/tokens. So now that we're on the personal access token page, we can click the blue Create Token button. From here, we have a number of options. We'll start from the top. We want to give this a name. You can name this whatever you'd like. For this example, I will name this Tutorial Token. Following that, we'll have our scopes option, which is just basically means we'll set the permissions of the token. We can click Add a Scope, and we'll want to make sure that we select Read and Write. So data.records_read, data.records_write. Below that, we have our access permissions. This is where you can set which Airtable bases this token can access. You can pick a specific base, however, for the sake of simplicity and unless otherwise specifically needed, we can select the all current and future bases for this workspaces option. And now we can click Create Token. Your token will be created and shown in the pop-up, and we can copy that token and head back into the builder and paste that right into the access token field. Now that we have our access token added, we can then grab the example URL for our Airtable base. To do this, we'll simply click the Airtable API page button up above. This will bring you to a list of your Airtable bases. And from here, you simply click on the base that you want to use in your collection. On the left-hand side, click Authentication, and then we can simply copy our example URL here on the right-hand side, jump back into the builder, and paste our example URL in the example URL field. If you wish to maintain the same structure and order of rows as they are in the Airtable, then there is one difference. Instead of using the current example URL, we will instead head back over into the previous tab. We'll click Grid View Table, click List Records, and from here we can click this API URL encoder tool. From here we can scroll all the way down to the bottom and locate the View field. Now what you want to enter into this field is exactly what the view is named on your Airtable. So if we click this View button here, we can see that ours is named by default Grid Space View with a capital G. So we can head back over into the encoder tool. We can type Grid Space View with the capital G. It will spit out a new URL on the bottom. We can copy that, and we can come back over into the builder and paste that right there. And now we can simply click Import Fields, and it will import that information directly into your collection. And that's how you connect your Airtable to the Airtable collection using the personal token. And now back to the originally scheduled programming. Now that we have our fields imported into the collection, we need to do a bit of cleanup and get each field's data type set correctly. The first of those being the page item URL, which we're going to set to use the field name. Moving down below that, we have a full list of field names. This might look intimidating, but don't worry, it's quite simple. You'll simply set every field type to use the data type plain text, with the exception of the image field using the image type and the logo field using the image type. As well as lastly, the website field as well as the social media fields will all be set to use the field type link. Now I'm going to quickly update this collection with the correct data types, and I'll be right back. All right, we've got everything connected to the correct data type. We have every field connected to plain text with the exception of the website field, which is connected to a link, the social media fields, which are connected to a link as well, and then our image and logo fields, which are connected to image data types. So now that we're done here, we can go ahead and click the Done button, scroll down. We want to connect our business directory to the collection, so we'll right-click the widget, select Connect to Data, use the drop-down, select our Airtable, and now in this Connect Data window, we want to just connect each field to the corresponding field of the collection. So for example, we're going to connect the Enable field to the Enable field of the collection. Now I'll quickly link all these up to the appropriate fields, and then I'll be right back. Okay, with this all linked up correctly, let's go ahead and click the Done button, and immediately we can see that this widget has populated with content. Let's open up the widget and let's jump into the Design tab. Here in the Design tab, there are quite a few options in here, but most of which pretty self-explanatory and are related to the text styling across the widget. However, there are a few specific features I wanted to highlight. The first being the first option in the Design tab, this grid gap option. This will adjust the padding between the cards. We can take a look at this. If I increase this number, we can see that that gap increases. And if I decrease this all the way down, we can see that the gap is no longer there. The next thing that I want to take a look at is in the modal styling options panel. While this section is packed with many styling options for the widget's modal, one option within the modal that cannot be changed is the font. Instead, the modal has an option called Clone Font Family from Card. This will clone the font from the corresponding field in the card and show that in the modal. For example, the font used for the title in the card will be cloned and used for the title in the modal. So I'm going to quickly style this widget up, and then I'll be right back and we can take a look at how this widget looks in our preview. Now with the widget fully styled, let's republish and then take a look at how this widget looks on the live site. And if we scroll down, we'll see that all of our content is displaying, our filters are working, as well as our modals are displaying all of that content, and everything looks great. It should be noted that you would normally want to change the label for the button on the card from saying Visit Website to something else such as View More. Let's quickly jump into the builder and change that button layout. We'll open up the widget, and then on the bottom of the content panel, we'll locate Customize Labels. Within here, we'll locate the Visit Website label, and we'll just quickly change that to read View More. Now, if we republish the site, we scroll back down, we can see that that label for the button has been updated and now it reads View More. As you can see, this widget is super easy to set up, but it's also very powerful for any site that needs to show off content in a stylish, filterable environment. Be sure to check out our third and final video in our training series for the Business Directory widget to learn how to use this widget by connecting it to a dynamic page that leverages the Airtable to display even more content that otherwise wouldn't be visible in the Business Directory.